What's up, guys? Welcome back into the Ballroom Podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Rohan and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arav. Arav, what's going on?
I'm good, Rohan. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. We had a good slate of games, and we look forward to getting into them.
Yeah, definitely. We had some exciting game fours. Super looking forward to recapping them with you and going over them. Should we get
Yeah,
straight into it?
yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So first we got the Celtics and Nets. The Celtics won this game 116 to 112 and won the series. They swept the Nets
Get the
4-0.
brooms out. Get the
Get the
brooms
brooms
out.
out. No, I don't think anyone expected this, right?
Nah, I mean this
Yeah.
came out of left field. I mean, especially after game one, which
Yeah.
was just
Yeah,
a
we thought
thriller.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be like the greatest series of all time. We thought it was going to go into 7 or at least 6, but the Celtics just they just seemed like the overall like a way better team this entire series.
Yeah, but I mean, every game was within like
They
four or
were
five
close, but like
points.
they just were way better at closing out games. Um
It had to have been
uh
like the least like combined like margin of victory in
yeah,
terms of
what
like
was
how
it?
much they
Like
won
12?
by.
It was 12,
Probably
right?
something like
Yeah,
that. I mean, it
something like
was
that. Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, yeah, for the Nets, like although like in this game in game 4, although KD had 39 points, he shot 13 for 31, which isn't very efficient. And shot 3 of 11 from 3. So like although like even though he had 39 points, it just he didn't have like a really good shooting night. Um
Yeah,
so that shows like the Celtics were still like locking him up. Um they stifled him even and
yeah,
yeah, they threw everything they had at them at
yeah.
him. They threw double teams. Yeah.
Also 31 shots. Like you could tell he was just like
That's a lot.
he
He
was trying
wanted.
to
Yeah.
he was trying to get buckets. He was trying to make up for like the last 3 games. Like he was just the last game. I think he had like 11 shots or something or
Hmm.
12 shots.
Yeah.
Like he was in Alcatraz the whole series. And he was just he wanted to go out with a bang. Like he knew he couldn't put up another stinker like he had the past 3 games. So I mean, he was leaving everything out there, and even his 39 wasn't enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyrie had a decent game, but like it's Kyrie. He's Kyrie. I think in the playoffs, like in game 4 in an elimination game, he needs to score more than 20, shoot more than 13 shots.
Yeah,
Seth Curry had a really good game though. He had 23 points, shot 9 of 13 from the field, but like a big, big reason why, like part of the main reasons why Brooklyn lost was because of the free throw shooting, mainly courtesy to Nick Claxton.
Nick
Um,
Claxton
yeah, Nick
putting up like
Clangston, Nick
Nick Claxton
Clangston.
for real, bro.
oh,
Dude
oh,
cannot make a single free throw for the first like 10
yeah,
free throws. He went 0 for 10
over 10 at one point, which is the
at one
most
point.
missed free throws to start a playoff game since Shaquille O'Neal, who did it in 2006, where when he went 0 for 8. And overall in the game, Clangston went 1 for 11 from the free throw line. And this free throw performance tied Wilt Chamberlain for the worst free throw performance in NBA playoff history, which was way back in 1970. So yeah, that was
Yeah,
a big part of the reason why like Brooklyn lost. They also like the other games could have definitely taken this one.
yeah. I mean, especially when every game is separated by like 2 or 3 points, and like
Mhm.
every bucket's so crucial for them. Like you got to convert your free throws. Going 17 or 29 from the free throw line in an elimination game, especially when you know like you need every single bucket because they're hard to come by against the Celtics. Like that's just like a testament to like not closing it down the stretch, like not being. I mean, poor free throw shooting in the playoffs, like to this degree, is like pretty inexcusable, and it's definitely like part of the reason why the Nets just weren't able to close out the series or even get a game. Like it's just the little things, right, that it comes down to, especially in these tight games. So it's a tough one to swallow for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And like a big story for the Nets or like big thing for the Nets, I think if like Kyrie said this in his post-game interview with the media, if he could have played all year, it may have changed like the Nets like trajectory throughout the whole season. I mean, it was like a lot of drama for him and it could have if he played like the whole year, it could have made the Nets chemistry a little better, would have got them a better record, not like they wouldn't have like been in the position to barely fight for the 7th seed. Like they barely got the 7th seed. But
Yeah.
overall, I think it's like as many people like would agree. It's like a big failure of a season, especially considering the expectations they had, especially with James Harden at the start of the year. That just didn't work out at all. And then yeah, they were like expected to before the season started, they were like expected to win the finals or at least go to the finals.
Yeah, I mean they've just been in complete turmoil like the whole last 2 years, especially. Like everything's just been chaotic. It's just been a lot of missing pieces. Like every game, you don't even know who's going to suit up for them. Uh, the whole Ben Simmons situation just seems so fitting for this team because that's basically just sums up
Yeah,
kind of where they've been the last 2 years. Like they have
exactly.
players in and out of the lineup. They have like two stars who just like barely show up in Kyrie and Ben Simmons, and I mean, it's definitely not the stability that you want, especially with a team with Kevin Durant. And obviously for KD, it's really disappointing because he doesn't have that second star who's reliable. Obviously, we know that Kyrie can be that second star because he did it with LeBron, but he's just not been able to put it together, and he's not been reliable for his teammates. And I feel like he was really stating the obvious in his post game interview when he was
Yeah.
talking about, oh, I think I was a distraction for the team and we weren't able to build a chemistry, but that's just obviously like everyone knows like that was the deal with this team the whole season. Like he's been the root of their problem. He's the reason or one of the reasons Harden left them and forced his way to Philly. So I mean, it's just crazy. It's a crazy mess that they put themselves into, and it's definitely going to be a tough off season, and they're going to have to move a lot of pieces in order to make themselves a contender next year and just reboot really.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And for the
Let's
Celtics,
not forget the
yeah.
Celtics.
Let's not
They
forget
were
about them. Yeah. Yeah, they were just they played so well this entire series. Especially in this game, Tatum 29 points coming out again. Um having an amazing game, amazing series. Although he had 29 points, although he fouled out with around 2 minutes 45 seconds left, the Celtics still held their ground, which shows how much poise they have, how deep they are, and how complete of a team they are.
I know. I mean, yeah, it was just everyone coming together at the right time. Everyone stepping up for them. Obviously, you're led by Tatum, who was actually fouled out in this game. But I mean, they were still able to close. It's just a testament to how many reliable guys they have.
Yeah,
Horford, who's just a rock for them, really holds it down. Marcus Smart, who just shows up and just is on both ends of the ball, just doing everything for them. He's setting people up. He had 11 assists in this game. Playmaking had 20 points to go along with it, and obviously playing huge defense for them. So you can
yeah,
just tell
and
like
then
this Celtics team was just outplayed the Nets.
yeah, and then Grant Williams was also huge off the bench, which like I said before, just shows how deep they are. They just have like so many players who can perform and who can deliver for the Celtics. He had 14 points, 4 for 6 from three, so he was huge. Yeah, and overall, just amazing series for Boston. Hopefully, they can keep it up against either Milwaukee or Chicago.
Let's move on. Let's look at the Mavs Jazz series. Jazz won game four, 199 in a thriller. They win in Luca's first game back off a game winning alley oop from Gobert.
Go there.
I think in general, though, I think we can all agree the Mavs kind of threw this game.
Yeah,
They were up four with 40 seconds left after Luca hit a step back three, which was ice cold. But then the Mavs got the stop on Donovan Mitchell, but let him get the offensive board. And then he got the putback and one, cut it to one. And then Dwight Powell missed two huge free throws, which would have put them up three. And then down one, Donovan Mitchell goes up the floor and throws the alley oop to Gobert, and they go up one. And Doncic and for the last shot held the ball. He got doubled and he threw it to Dinwiddie, who then missed the game-winning three. So the Jazz pretty much stole this game. They ran away with one. They tied the series 2-2, which is huge for them. They took back home court. And I think in general, like they essentially stuck to the same game plan which they had been using in games 2 and 3, which they lost. They didn't really make any adjustments, but they just executed down the stretch. They got a couple lucky breaks with Powell's missed free throws, and it was a big win for them. Donovan Mitchell still struggled, only 23 points on 33% shooting, but Clarkson was huge for them. He dropped 25 points. Gobert was huge with 17 and 15 with the big grown man's game. And I think Bogdanovich only had 12 points, and he probably should get. They'll probably need more offense from him going forward. They'll need obviously as much offense as they can get with Donovan Mitchell struggling this series. but overall, I mean, huge win for them.
Yeah, free throws, man. Just like in the Celtics Nets, just like for the Nets. Free
That's when
throws are
free
huge.
throws win. Free throws and defense win games.
Exactly. Powell missed those two clutch free throws. He's got to make those. It's the playoffs. Um, but other than that, it's just difference of the game was these free throws. Um, like you said, the Jazz just like stuck to their same game plan. They just in order for them to sure they won a game here, but in order for them to win the whole series, they really need to adjust. All they did in this game was just execute down the stretch, which they couldn't do in games 2 and 3. But they really need to adjust in order to win 4 games against the Mavericks.
Yeah, but like obviously Luka, Mavs played a solid game overall, and Luka in his
Yeah,
return was
definitely.
amazing for them. He dropped 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. Obviously Brunson also continued a solid play, which he's been doing all series long with 23 points. But Dinwiddie obviously struggled for them. He only had 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting, and he'd been a big boost for them in the first 3 games. So with Luka back, hopefully he's not sort of held back in terms of his scoring output and getting less touches, but in general, like they played a great game. Just needed to close this game out, and that's what it's going to come down to is just closing games out, especially for the Jazz as well. Like if they're down most of the games, but they're able to squeeze it out just at the end, they'll be able to get themselves back in the series, which they've done.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Dallas, with the series tied 2-2 going, I think Dallas is still in pretty good position.
Yeah.
Especially going back to Dallas for game 5.
Yeah, I mean nobody expected them to go up 2-1 without Luka. So being
Yeah,
in a 2-2 series when Luka's only
with
played one
Luka
game,
just coming back is just it's
exactly,
a good position for the
it's
Mavericks.
perfect. They
Luka's only going to go uphill from here. Um,
exactly.
yeah,
And they just need to win 2 games at home, which they have games
exactly.
5 and game 7 at home. So
Mhm.
they're in a good position. If they can win game 5 and then steal a game in game 6, like they'll pretty much be in good position.
But like Utah really needs to Quinn Snyder needs to like quickly make the adjustments to the game plan.
It's tough to make the adjustments now though when you've just won the game, right? They
That's
obviously
true.
they saw something work. But I mean, obviously there's always room for improvement. So we'll see what Quinn Snyder has in game 5, and obviously they'll it's going to be a chess match with Jason Kidd. But obviously game 5 will be a good one and a
Yeah,
crucial one.
definitely. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to be a huge game for both teams.
yeah,
Taking a 3-2 lead is always puts you in always a really good position.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Should we move on?
yeah, let's move on. We got my favorite series. One of my favorite series is the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves won this one in a thriller to tie the series 2-2. For Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns proved that he can play in the playoffs. Possibly prove that to Draymond Green. I don't know who
Who
Draymond was
knows?
going at, but maybe Cat. Who knows? 33 points, 14 rebounds, monster game. Also was aggressive. Got rewarded by with being aggressive by going to the free throw line 17 times, made 14 of those. Um, I feel like if he had 3 like bad games in a row, the media and the fans would have just like annihilated him.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so he proved that he can play in the playoffs. 33 points, big game for Cat. Really got the Wolves. Brought was big for the Wolves here.
yeah, definitely. And obviously they got contributions from
Yeah,
Edwards as well, who's just been on a tear this series. In his second season in NBA, just putting up
in his
numbers.
first playoffs as well.
First playoffs.
Um,
Yeah. Obviously
yeah,
Pat Bev with a huge game as well.
yeah, huge game for Pat Bev. All the Timberwolves starters put up double digits. And Jordan McLaughlin was big off the bench as well. Didn't miss a three, 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota shot 50% from three, so really just like really good game, solid game for Minnesota. And they closed it out. Which is huge in this series, as every game
Which
has been like pretty
which they
close.
haven't done. They didn't
Yeah,
do in game
which they
3.
couldn't do in game 3
But it's
with a
good because now
26-point lead. Yeah,
they got home court back, and that's pretty much all that matters. And
exactly,
now it's a
exactly.
2-2 series. It's anyone's series at this point.
Yeah, they did almost blow another double-digit lead though. They were up by 15
Yeah.
at one point and
Yeah.
almost lost. So, but luckily they were able to close out this time, unlike last time, and win the game by 1. Um, a big story was that they relentlessly attacked the basket, which led them to go to the free throw line 40 times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about those protest games. The Wolves are 3-0 in these animal chicken protest games, which is quite a stat.
Yeah, they might. I mean, obviously, Anthony Edwards said otherwise. He said like, "Oh, let's not do these protests in Minnesota," but like, seems like it's working for them, so they might need to organize them in Game 6.
Yeah, exactly. For the Grizzlies, I mean, Dylan Brooks, 24 points, shot 10 of 20 from the field. He had a really solid game. Ja Morant had quite an off game. He only shot 13 times, only made 4 of those, only 11 points. Desmond Bane showing that he's forming into a star. 34 points and 8 threes made. Desmond Bane, he doesn't miss.
He's a
I
sniper.
like barely seen him miss.
He's a sniper for sure.
And then
Definitely.
Brandon Clark also proving that he can be a star in this league too and be a crucial player for the Grizzlies. Went 7 for 9 from the field and had 15 points.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great game. Obviously, the Grizzlies just didn't play to their standard. Timberwolves were able to get away with the game. Obviously, but they were leading most of the game, so they kind of deserved it. But I don't think this is a Grizzlies team that we're used to seeing, especially throughout the regular season, and showed some of that youth, being one of the youngest teams in the playoffs, and one of the youngest teams in the NBA. And obviously, like the series is just going to be so up and down because both these teams are so inexperienced, and there's obviously going to be some really high highs because they're obviously super talented.
Exactly.
But there's going to be a lot of blunders and a lot of mistakes from both ends. So it's just who can limit those mistakes the most and who's able to execute down the stretch and make winning plays.
Yeah, like as for the mistakes, the Grizzlies starters had 25 fouls and the whole Timberwolves team had 23. So that shows that the Grizzlies need to be more careful and like uh think about their like decision making process on like going for reaches and steals and stuff and just like, you know,
Yeah, I
just like
think one
be
one
a little
person you
more
can
smart.
one person you can look at from the Grizzlies who's just doing a horrible job of that is Jaren Jackson. He's just been
Yeah.
fouling recklessly. He's not been making good decisions on defense. Obviously, he's one of the best defenders in the league, led the league in blocks this year, but he's been really reckless. He's not been keeping his hands down. He's been reaching. He's been going for blocks, and he's putting his team in a tough position because he's not able to get out on the court. He's being limited to like 25 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game in some of these games. So it's not a good thing for his team if he's not able to be out there, especially to help defend Cat, who just ate this game. And they don't really have another defender. Like Steven Adams doesn't really stand a chance against Cat, as we've seen all series. So Jaren Jackson's definitely going to need to step up on that end. And as a team collectively, they're going to need to step up and play some more mature defense.
Yeah, definitely. And Ja Morant with his off game, he just needs to play like himself and play above the rim. He said this in his post game interview. He just needs to go back to himself, play above the rim, use that vertical he has, and just like attack the rim better and
Yeah.
more aggressively. In order to be more um, efficient and crucial for the Grizzlies and help them win 4 games in this series.
Yeah.
This game was probably the most physical game of the series. Bodies crashed on so many possessions, which is good, which is really good. Shows that both teams are fighting and hustling because they're hungry to win. Both teams are
Yeah.
super hungry, which is what we like to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great series. Everyone knew that it would be a super competitive series. Both these teams have a bunch of dogs on their teams, so we know it's going to be a dog fight for sure.
Yeah,
All right, should we
definitely.
move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's look at the Suns Pelicans game. Pelicans continue to shock the world. They won the game 118-103, and now they've tied the series at 2 apiece, going back to Phoenix for game 5. And I think the story of this game is just the Pelicans just out hustled and outplayed the Suns on both sides of the floor. And even the Suns players were saying this. Monty Williams admitted it after the game. It was a very physical game, but the Pelicans were just more physical than the Suns.
Hmm.
They had a huge second half. They outscored the Suns by 17. Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones are just shutting down Chris Paul. They were forcing 8-second violations. Alvarado finally got his
Finally,
pickpocket
Grand
on
Theft
Chris Paul.
Alvarado.
Yeah, exactly. He's putting Chris Paul in some discomforting situations. But yeah, they were just flustering CP, and you could tell he's frustrated. He got that cheap shot, flagrant foul in the fourth quarter, and yeah, he was just held to basically doing nothing. He was especially in that's a big step up from game 3 when he pretty much dominated that whole game. And obviously free throws were also a huge story of this game for the Pelicans. They outscored the Suns 32-10 from the free throw line, and they shot
Wow.
42 free throws versus the Suns 15 free throws.
That's
And
crazy.
you could just tell like that was just a product of like their intensity and the energy that they played with in this game. They just took it to the Suns. They showed no fear. So it was huge for them. And all around, it was just a great team performance. And they basically executed flawlessly on every aspect of the game, on offense, on defense, shutting down Chris Paul. And yeah, it was just a great game for the Pelicans.
Yeah, for sure. This is also one of my favorite series is in this playoffs. It's just so fun to watch,
Yeah,
especially the Pelicans as an 8 seed doing this against the 1 seed Suns.
technically a 9 seed.
It's technically a 9 seed, exactly. They're
Yeah,
just matched right with them. They're right with them. Brandon Ingram was huge for the Pelicans. Dropped 30 points for his third straight 30-point game in the series. He's not missing.
uh,
He makes everything. He's
getting to his
cold.
spots.
Yeah,
He's playing at
exactly.
his own pace.
He's playing his
He's
game. This
he's
is
playing
his
his
game.
game, and
Yeah.
no one can really guard him. He can shoot over anyone.
Mhm.
He's just a unicorn in that way. Very
Yeah. All of
Kevin Durant
yeah.
esque.
Exactly. That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
Exactly. All around, just an amazing performance for the Pelicans. They executed perfectly on like every aspect of the game. If they can just keep this up, they just have a really good shot at this series. Um,
yeah.
yeah. I
I
mean,
think
as for the
also
yeah,
Valanciunas also with a huge game, 26 and
yeah,
15,
for sure.
dominated the paint for them. And um, yeah, obviously the Suns just didn't match the intensity of the Pels.
Hmm.
They were letting them get anything at will. They were hounded on offense. They only shot 7 of 27 from three, which is quite. They actually shot better than the Pelicans, who shot 25% from three,
Yeah.
which is quite surprising. Both teams shot abysmally from the
Yeah.
3-point line.
And the
Um,
Pelicans still won by 15, which is crazy.
Crazy that the Pelicans shot worse than
It's
the
just
Suns.
their intensity, man. Like
Yeah,
You could see Alvarado after like those 8-second violations.
yeah,
You could see how emotional, like hyped he was. He showed emotion every time. He was hungry. The whole team was, which brought the whole team up.
yeah,
They were all hungry. He's like another Pat Bev. Um,
yeah.
he,
Exactly. I mean, he
yeah,
plays.
which
He's a huge spark for them.
yeah, he's a dog, which ignited the crowd, which just ignited the whole team, and which
Yeah,
powered them to ultimately win by 15, like
yeah,
convincingly.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. And then Game 5 is now at 2-2 series. It's up for anybody, and obviously the Pelicans are playing with house money. They have no pressure on them, and all the
Exactly.
pressures on the Suns to take care of business in Game 5 at home. To take to go back to New Orleans for Game 6 up 3-2. So if not, they're going to be under a lot of pressure. But obviously, the Suns are still a championship team. They have Chris Paul, who we know is probably not going to have two horrible games in a row. He's going to step it up, and I think as a team, they're going to recognize like that they got outplayed and that they're going to step up their intensity and hustle.
Yeah, for sure. Like I expect them. I don't expect them to be like this again. They're gonna bring
Yeah,
it in Game 5 for sure.
yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it. Next we got the Bucks at the Bulls. This was kind of the same story as in Game 3. The Bucks won in another blowout, 119-95, and now they lead the series 3-1. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, for the Bucks, just like another amazing game. They were even without Middleton, they're just like too hard to beat. Giannis 32 points. Grayson Allen was huge off the bench
yeah,
with 27 points. Yeah, like I feel like they're just like too much. They're too much for the Bulls. Um,
yeah. You could tell it's just like the Bucks are leading the whole game. Like Bulls don't even are not even scratching that lead. Um, and obviously the Bucks, just other players are stepping up in the absence of
mhm.
Middleton.
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
importantly, Grayson Allen, who just torched the Bulls this game.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and obviously
He
Holiday too is picking it up on offense as well.
Yeah, he had 26 points, five threes, 7 assists. Giannis 17 rebounds again, 7 assists. He's becoming like a whole like all around player
I mean,
instead of
he's
just
been
a
that way.
scorer. Yeah, he's been that way.
He's a
I didn't
stat
really
sheet
I didn't really
killer.
see him like before like few years ago. I don't really see him as much of a passer. I feel like that's a big thing he's developing in his game.
Yeah, he's definitely been doing it the last couple of years, especially leading up to his championship
Yeah.
run. So that's a big part. He's basically the point guard at times. He's able to bring it up the floor and sort of find guys and set up his teammates. So he's just he does everything for the team. He's their point guard. He's their big man. He's their wing. He can do it all.
Yeah. Like I said, Grayson Allen, 27 points, huge off the bench again. Only missed 2 shots, 10 to 12 from the field, 6 to 7 from 3, which is a playoff career high. 27 is also playoff career high. And he's just emerging into like an amazing key piece for the Bucks. He shot 11 to 14 from 3 in his last 2 games, which is just like incredible. Grayson Allen is just like, I know he
Doesn't
has like
miss.
bad reputation and all that, but he's just a hooper. Like
I mean, maybe he has some added motivation when he's playing in Chicago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think for the Bulls though, like they were just flat. It's just the same old thing. Like it's the same story that we've been talking about. DeRozan
exactly.
and Vucevic and Levine just not performing at their best level.
Yeah, if they're not performing at their best level, then like I said in the last episode, they're not going to win, especially against the championship level Bucks.
Especially with their poor shooting, like you can't shoot 25% from 3 and expect to win a game. You can't shoot 39% from the field and expect to win a game.
Exactly.
They're just not able to get buckets really and keep up with the Bucks.
Bench produced barely any scoring. Also, Caruso was in concussion protocols again, right?
Yeah.
So hope he's good. But like he's also a key piece for the Bulls. I feel like it's just not looking like too great for them right now. I feel like the Bucks like should close this one out. If they keep playing like this, they won't have any issues.
Yeah, I mean it's probably going to turn out to be a 5-game series, and I think that's what a lot of us predicted before. I think that's what I predicted before as well. But Bulls just they haven't been able to produce offensively. They can't contain the Bucks on offense, so on defense.
Also, not having Lonzo Ball is huge. So hopefully, like I mean, not hopefully, but like who knows what the Bulls could have been like if he was playing in this series. The story could have been maybe different.
Exactly. I should move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's look at the Heat Hawks game. Heat took this game in a landslide. It was a blowout, 110-86. They're up 3-1 in the series now, heading back to Miami for Game 5 to close it out. But Jimmy Butler's dominance just continued in this game. He dropped 36. Bubble Jimmy is back for Game 4. 36, 10 boards, 4 assists on 57% shooting and 11 of 12 from the line, which is huge for them. Now averaging 30 and a half points a game this series on 54% shooting and 44% from the 3, which is, I mean, that's just buckets. And the Heat just dominated this game. And their defense all series has just been swarming the Hawks. They just are in Alcatraz. They're in jail right now. Not able to get anything, especially Trae Young. They got held to 86 points this game. Just barely able to score, and they dominated the paint as well. They outscored the Hawks 47-26, and they just didn't let the Hawks get out of the perimeter. They were settling for jump shots and contesting pretty well in the 3. So just an all-around great game for the Heat, and they're just taking care of business, and they're basically the team that we all anticipate they'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. This is why they're a 1 seed. They're 1 seed for a really good reason. I mean, for the Hawks, like you said, they're just in like the Hawks, especially Trae Young, are in Alcatraz right now. Like nobody can get it going when Trae Young isn't producing, when he only has 9 points, then you can't expect the Hawks to beat the 1 seed Heat. Only bright spot was DeAndre Hunter, who's like emerging as a crucial player for the Hawks, like a really good star player. He had 24 points on 9 of 13 shooting and 4 for 6 from the 3. But the only other player for the Hawks to score double digits was John Collins, and this was in the low double digits as well with only 11. So yeah, really the Hawks, Trae Young, 3 of 11, 3 of 10 from 3. Only 9 points, 8 points in Game 1. So this series hasn't been the best for him, and which is why the Heat are up 3-1. Yeah.
It's definitely a testament to the Heat defense, just not letting him get to the paint at all.
Him.
Like they're forcing him to settle for threes, some tough jump shots. Like he's not able to do what he does and get some floaters in the paint like he usually does in transition as well. So it's been difficult for him, and obviously when he's not flowing, the team's not flowing, and the rest of the players, the role players, are also not producing at a high level or at least at a consistent level for them to at least pull off an upset in the series.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bogdanovich, 4 points, Herder, 4 points. Like you can't win a game when Trae
Yeah.
Young, Bogdanovich, Herder are all below 10 points. And John Collins only has 11. So kind of like, yeah, it's like the Hawks really didn't really have a chance in this game. I feel like the Heat are just like they're a way better team. That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah,
Which is why they're up 3-1.
exactly. All right, should we move on?
Yeah, let's do it. Next we got a super exciting game. The Warriors at the Nuggets. The Nuggets won this one 126-121 in a thriller. But the Warriors still lead 3-1. And for the Nuggets, this was a really really important crucial game. It showed that they can keep up with the Warriors. They have a shot in this series. Nikola Jokic unstoppable in this game. 14 to 21 from the field, cashing in threes, 3 of 5 from the three, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. One thing he needs to improve on this series if the Nuggets want to win is his turnover count. He had 7 turnovers, but um he took advantage of Kevon Looney the whole game. So he was just like bullying him in the paint. Scored every time when Looney, most of the time when Looney was on him, just shot it right over him into the bucket. Um, after game three's performance, after game three's really good performance, Aaron Gordon, it seems like he's out of his slump, right? He dropped 21, was super aggressive going to the rim. He went to the free throw line 13 times, made 10 of them. I feel like if he plays like this, he's going to be like a pest for the Warriors. It's going to be tough for them to guard him if he's going super aggressive and making shots, going to the rim, getting to the line.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And also like Monte Morris had a huge game for
Yeah,
them, 24
definitely.
points, 5 threes. Like when they have this type of scoring from their others, like the Nuggets are a really good team. And that's what's been
Mhm.
holding them back is they haven't been able to get consistent scoring from all their role players. And Jokic has been left there to just do everything for them on offense, play make, and also score. So that's a tall task for him to do on a nightly basis. And this
Mhm.
was just a game where he got a little bit of help and they were able to close it out.
Yeah, exactly. Monte Morris, he didn't miss at all in the third quarter. I remember Clay and him were going back at it. Clay was making everything. Morris just kept answering back, which was a little demoralizing for Golden State. As since Clay was just making everything, they tried to get stops, but Morris just kept answering, with threes too. So it was tough for the Warriors. Demarcus Cousins, Boogie Cousins sparked the Nuggets off the bench. He's been big for Denver this year. He's been a bright spot. He's been playing well. 3 or 3
Exactly.
after, especially after all his injuries too. It's good to see him back on the floor
For
playing
sure.
at this level.
For
Um,
sure.
10 points, 3 or 3 from the field.
Yeah, definitely. Nuggets played a great game. I think on the Warriors end, like they had their chances down the stretch. They could have closed it out. They went out on a 7-0 run though, gave up a 7-0 run to the Nuggets. They had a 2-point lead with about a minute left. But obviously
Mhm.
there was a missed putback dunk by Wiggins, which was costly for them. They just didn't execute on a couple offensive possessions for them, but all in all, I mean, they played a great game. I think splitting in Denver is overall a win for them. Now they can go back to Golden State and close it out in 5.
Mhm.
And they still had unbelievable production from their star players. Steph with 33, Wiggins with 20, Clay with 32. There wasn't a pool party, unfortunately, in this game.
Unfortunately.
He only had 11 points, but he still was playmaking for his teammates when he wasn't getting a shot. He had finished with 9 assists. So
Yeah.
I mean, Denver pretty much played their best game of the series, the perfect game they could have played, and they just got the Warriors on an okay night, and they were able to steal the game.
Yeah, but I feel like even when Denver's playing like perfectly and the Warriors aren't at their best, the Warriors, this game shows that they're still too super tough to beat. Um, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
that failed lob play from Otto Porter to Wiggins at the
yeah,
end was like questionable.
definitely
Especially since
questionable.
Jokic knew it was coming, which shows that
Yeah,
his basketball IQ was so high. He knew it was coming.
Yeah. I think for Kerr though, his reasoning behind it was to get the 2-for-1 because
Yeah,
there was about like
exactly.
30
Yeah.
seconds left, so they would have gotten a quick
Mhm.
2 and been able to get the stop on the other end. But unfortunately, it just didn't break the way they wanted it to.
Like I feel
Credit
like it
to the
was a good
Nuggets.
play call. It was a
Yeah,
good play call. The only thing is that Jokic and the Nuggets knew it was coming. So
yeah, exactly. So that's just credit to the Nuggets. You can't really hold your head too down for that, but just got to come back for Game 5 and close it out at home.
yeah, for sure. But I think
Yeah,
if Denver can take Game 5, that could put them in a great position as well, going back to Denver, potentially tying up the series at home. Um,
definitely. Yeah,
if
definitely
the
will put some
Warriors,
pressure.
yeah, for sure, definitely puts some pressure. I mean, if the Warriors shoot 35.5% from three, um, like Denver could have a good shot. They didn't shoot that well this game, but like
Yeah,
they'll definitely bring it next game. We
yeah,
don't expect them to shoot like this, like two playoff games in a row,
but
especially at
yeah,
home.
definitely. All right,
Right?
should we move on to
Should
the
we move
last
on?
game?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's look at Sixers Raptors. Raptors took this one 103-88 and extend the series after facing elimination. It's now 3-1 heading to Philly. And it was a huge game for Pascal Siakam. This was the Siakam game. 34 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Scotty Barnes also returned from his ankle injury, coming off the bench, but he didn't really score well, but he was good for them pushing the pace. He had 11 rebounds, getting out in transition and setting up his teammates. That's always good for them. And then Gary Trent poured in 24 points, just getting buckets for them. And Thad Young was probably one of their most valuable players in this game. He had
Yeah,
13, 5
definitely.
rebounds, and 5 assists. He was pushing the pace just like Scotty Barnes was, making great plays for his teammates, just giving them a boost of energy, which they needed, and obviously a veteran presence as well. Since he's been in the league for, I don't even know, like 12, 15 years
Yeah.
now.
Did you see his ankle breaker on MB?
Oh, that was clean.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, and
filthy.
the
Yeah,
step back jumper too to go with
I
it. Like
know.
that was nice.
Yeah,
Um, but I think one point of concern for the Raptors is obviously Fred VanVleet. He left the game
definitely.
with an apparent hip injury. He ripped his jersey on his way out in frustration, so you could tell that it was something kind of serious, and
Mhm.
that's a huge development for the Raptors. But if there's anything we know about them is they're gonna fight regardless.
Yeah,
It's always a next man up mentality for them, and they
exactly.
got some dogs on their team. So
For
obviously they don't
sure.
have a lot of point guards on their team, but they have a lot of guys who can make up for it, or at least collectively come together and make up for it.
Yeah, Nick Nurse definitely will have a game plan. Without Van Vliet as well. We know he's a
Yeah,
championship coach, so
yeah,
he definitely knows what to do. I mean, for the Sixers, obviously, the main story of the game is Joel Embiid's thumb injury concern. He has a torn ligament in his thumb. He's gonna get surgery in the offseason. But he still scored 21 points and had 8 rebounds. But he was obviously it showed that he was in discomfort and kind of limited. But I mean, I feel like scoring he if he can still score 21, I feel like he knows he can play through it. Um I feel like he should be able to bring it next game. Um as for their other superstar Harden, he just needs to step up on offense to make up if Embiid's injury gets worse. He needs to step up to make up for that. He needs to look like the old Houston Harden or even like early when he played for Brooklyn early on. He had 22 points, but shot 5 of 17, which is pretty bad, and 2 of 8 from three, which is 25%. So that's also not too good. He hasn't been able to play like he's been used to. Um, yeah,
and I think I mean obviously with Embiid's injury just lingering, like you need to be that second star that the Sixers
exactly.
thought they were trading for when they traded Simmons for him. Um, they thought they were getting a guy who would be able to be that 1B to Embiid, who's the 1A, and
Hmm.
sort of be that second offensive scoring punch as well as the primary or one of the point guards of the team and setting up his teammates. But he's just not looked like it. And in order for them, he needs to like be able to give Embiid sort of that sort of backup or sort of safety reserve in case he's not playing to his standards. Um,
Hmm.
and that's what's going to get them farther in the playoffs. And without that, we don't know what they're going to look like. You can't really rely on a young Tyrese Maxey who's only like 21 years of age. And obviously he was super good in the first 3 games, but he's not going to play great in every game.
Exactly.
That showed in this game. He only had 11 points on on 4-12 shooting. So when the stakes are getting higher and you're in these tough environments on the road, like it's tough to rely on a young guy who's in his second year in the league in order to step up and sort of be that secondary star on the team.
Yeah, for sure. And like obviously the Sixers, it showed that they didn't have the intensity required to close out the series, especially against this Raptors team who wasn't willing to lose. They didn't want to lose. They didn't want to get swept. Um, Possibly I mean it's only 3-1. There's the reason they played like without as much intensity was possibly because they were up 3-0. They were a little lackadaisical. Um, a little like complacent, you know. But they need to close game 5 in Philly. Otherwise, losing game 5 in Philly, going back to Toronto in game 6, it's going to be tough to close it out. It's hard to win there.
Yeah. I mean, closeout games in general are always tough. So
Yeah,
you really just
exactly.
want to get it over with as quick as possible and not let the series go longer and longer. And
Definitely.
obviously, the pressure is going to keep mounting as the higher
Hmm.
seed. And it's just, you don't want it to come down to a game 7 or even a game 6 in Toronto. Like it's not going to be fun for them at all. And it's not going to be easy either.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I
All
think
right.
that wraps it up. I think it's a wrap.
Yeah. We'll pretty much summed up game 5s and
Yeah.
we'll be summed up the game 4s and we'll take a look at the game 5s and sort of summarize those and break those down for you guys. But thanks for tuning into this one.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
We'll catch you guys later. See you guys. Peace.
See you guys.